Hey, welcome to day 11 of the $1 Million Baby Plan series. If you are wondering why I am laughing, it's because I should be farther than day 11. But life has just been life and child and taking me through there for real. Um, but nevertheless, I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, holiday weekend. Enjoyed your time with your family. I kind of just did some spring cleaning and chilled at home for the most part. I feel like I'm always, doing something. So this past weekend, since I had like a 3 day weekend, I decided to just chill with the family, clean up. I did a little shopping, did more than a little shopping, but thank you all for joining. I just came back from the gym literally about 20 minutes ago. And you know how you get after you come back from the gym, it's like you sit down and don't want to move. So I was like, you know what? Let me get up. Let me do this live. I usually start at 7:30. But as you all can see, it is 7:02. Like I said before, I'm coming in early, coming in hot, sticking to doing the 21 days to let you all know exactly what a $1 million baby plan is. If this is your first time tuning in, I am LC, the owner of LC Financial Solutions, where we specialize in helping our clients maximize their wealth, minimize their taxes, and master their legacy. If you want to learn more about any of those topics, please feel free to go to my page, click the link, and go ahead and schedule an appointment. Books are filling up. As I said before, tax season is still taxing. I still have clients, bookkeeping clients. Like people are just rolling in. I'm so grateful and thankful for all of my clients. I have clients on here who tune in. So thank you all for joining my support system, for joining us this evening and every evening that you all get to tune in. You all already know if you are catching a live, go ahead and hashtag live in the comments. If you are catching a replay, please share the replay and comment replay in the chat as well. And so on tonight, day 11, pretty excited. So tonight we're going to be discussing, should your child have their own policy or should they have a rider, and exactly what is a rider and how that can benefit for you. And so tonight's conversation again is going to be good because a lot of people may hear the word rider but don't know exactly what a rider is or how it works. Because there is a difference, and a lot of parents always want to know, should I get a rider or should my child have their own policy? And again, a lot of people don't even know what rider is. So tonight we're going to be breaking that down in a simple way. And so again, what is a rider? So a rider, RIDER, is basically an add-on to the insurance policy. So you want to think of it as like an extra feature, right? It's additional coverage. And usually attached to the main policy. So sometimes parents will obtain a rider if they aren't able to afford their child having their own policy. And so if you are ages of 18 years or older, you are able to get basically an adult policy where you don't need anyone to sign for you, and you actually have a child and you just add your child onto your policy for a few extra dollars a month. Now in this case, again, a child rider is coverage added on to the parent's policy for the child. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we are talking about riders, and should your child be on your policy or should your child have their own policy? And as I discussed or just recently said, a rider is just basically an extra additional feature that is on the parent's policy. So instead of your child having their own policy, they are connected to the parent's coverage. And honestly, for some families, that may work depending on your goals and your budgets for the policy. As I mentioned, we have more than one child, so policies can, add up after time. And if you are in a financial strict budget to where you may say, hey, I want policies for all of my kids, but right now, maybe everyone can't have a policy. We can add them to your policy. Now, typically, a child rider doesn't have the same amount of coverage and benefits as a parent. So, for an example, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. So, for example, if a child or if the adult has about $250 in coverage, and or even $500,000 in coverage, right? Even more. The child rider may be only able to obtain maybe $10,000 to $25,000 as a rider benefit, depending on the policy, the structure, and the coverage, and also depending on the company as well, because we do have different carriers. So typically, once we figure out what your budget is, we find the best carrier that fits your budget and also give you the best coverage for that. And so when you obtain your own policy, your child only gets a fraction of that. So it's basically designed as temporary coverage. Now, when the child has their own policy, right, they have their own separate coverage, they have their own policy structure, and they have the potential to gain their own cash value depending on, again, how the policy is set up. And so the big difference again is literally the child having their own policy where they are able to obtain those full benefits versus having a rider and they are only subject to some of the benefits that they may have had or not have had if they receive their own policy. And so, as I talk about a lot, living benefits. Living benefits. I love life insurance that offer living benefits. All of my carriers offer living benefits. And so, as I mentioned before, living benefits is cash value, or I won't say technically cash value, but living benefits is a product, or I would say an add on feature that you can use if something happens to you, whether you had a chronic, critical, or terminal illness, you are able to use the funds that's in the policy and actually, take care of your expenses. Now, if you have an add-on and something happens to your child where you have that rider, then they may not qualify for those living expenses. So for me, that is huge because as we know, children immune systems can change over time, they can become sick and things like that. So if something does happen to your child, you are able to use that insurance policy while you're alive to actually take care of your child medical needs or even your financial needs, right? And so as I mentioned, once a child have their own policy, then they are able to build their own cash value, and building their own cash value helps make them a $1 million baby, which is what we want, right? We want these $1 million babies. And again, like I mentioned before, when you obtain a policy early for your child, that amount stays the same the entire duration as long as you continue to pay for the premium, and that is really a win for win. Now, as I mentioned, I'm sorry, not every course, every policy is different. There are rules, the benefits can change depending on, again, how the policy is broken down, the structure of the policy, and also how much, your child may need. But generally speaking, a rider is usually more limited because it is attached to the parent's policy. And so, like I said, having the rider is great because you are able to obtain some type of coverage for your child at a smaller amount versus them obtaining their own policy or you obtaining your own policy for them, but it doesn't build cash value. It's not as flexible, and you don't have the living benefits opportunity. Excuse me, which is what we want, right? If you've been watching my lives for the past 21 days, I'm talking about those living benefits that you can use in showing you and structuring how you can use your policy while you are still alive and generating that old new money. I love old new money. And honestly, coverage is coverage. So whether you can afford a policy for yourself and a policy for your child, or even just a policy for yourself and add them as a rider, then that is okay too, right? It's not saying, oh, well, if I can't afford my child's policy, by themselves, then I'm just not doing the best that I could do. No, it's really based on your financial assistance or financial needs analysis that you are in today, right? Today, you may not be able to afford 4 different policies. You can add on a rider, and then who knows, next year you may be able to have your child, have their own policy. And a lot of people may say, okay, well, which one is better? Should I do a rider or should I do their own permanent policy? Again, let me say this clear. I am not biased when it comes to different type of policies, when it comes to carriers, because here at LC, I have a lot of carriers in my contact book, right? I can offer a lot of different products when it comes to insurance in my catalog. And so for me, I'm not biased. Again, it is pros and cons of having a writer and having your child have their own policies. But I'm not saying one is better than the other, because at the end of the day, coverage is coverage. It doesn't really matter if you can afford, your child's own $1 million baby plan or not, as long as they are covered. And different families have different needs, so depending on the budget, your goals, and your priorities, it could be better for you based on where you at or I'm sorry, where you are financially. So some parents start Red Rider because, again, it is less cost up front. They're just getting started and they just want something simple and something to have in place. Even if that is $25,000, you will have something for your child that is in place. Now, you can get them coverage for $25,000 too on their own policy, but the cash value will not grow as quickly, but it will grow over time. Some parents may prefer their child having their own separate policies, specifically for those long term opportunities and future flexibilities. As I mentioned before, when I discussed in my last live about the 529 plan versus the $1 million baby plan, once you are able to obtain that and it grows cash value and your child turns 18, you are able to pull those funds out for them to go to college, for them to start a new business, for a car, maybe, however you want to celebrate your child, or heck, even take the money out and go on vacation because you want to celebrate yourself for being a parent for 18 years and getting your child through high school. That is really all up to you. But as I mentioned before, a rider is just basically you adding on an additional feature to the permanent policy. Here come my riders right now. Can you come in the video? Oh, look, here go one. She popping in and out. If you can see her, I got my green screen on. But my riders are right here, baby, riding my back when they should not be in here. And so, again, thank you all for joining. Like I said, I'm going to make these lives quick. I'm not going to be on here long. Here you go. Thank you. Okay, go ask your dad, please. Um, Here's another one of my riders. But as I said, riders are just basically an additional feature that you can add on to your own permanent policy. And if you are interested in learning more about riders, or even your own $1 million baby plan, or just looking to see, what you can obtain based on your budget, please feel free to reach out. You can DM me. You can Google LC Financial Solution. I will be there. If you do have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out. Do not hesitate. My inbox is always open. And I hope you all have a great and wonderful night. Because, again, I just came from the gym, so I'm about to eat, shower, and finish working on LC. I hope you all have a great night. Say good night. Say good night. Okay. Good night. this 2-year old something else. Good night. So thank you all. Up. Come on in, Lundy. Good night. Say good night. Good night. Okay, because she thinks she's going to sleep, but she not. You but go to sleep. You all have a great. I don't want to go to sleep. Okay. You don't want to go to sleep. So you all have a great night. I'm going to chill with my riders. Okay, my future $1 million baby plans here. I got 2 of them, right? So I'm creating that old new money. Again, if you all have any questions, comments, or concerns about what is a rider, or even about any type of policy, just to see, I do not mind pulling up illustrations, letting you see how to even retire wealthy when you're starting from zero. So again, if you guys do have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out. Go ahead and share this live. Like it, comment, even if you just scroll by for 15 minutes, just say hey, interact with me. Thank you all for joining and tuning in, and I will be back with day 12 of the $1,000,000 Baby Plan series. You all have a wonderful night. Enjoy your week, and I hope everything works out for the better for everyone who has tuned in. Thank you all, and have a good night.